true.
Okay, thank you. I thought you said that wasn't true.
I'm not the same person I was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 2 years ago.
No, you're the way you think, everything that's important to you. I mean, it really, really, really is. The end goal might still be similar, but that's why we have to tweak it, and that's why we have to constantly do it. But ultimately, it's completely different. The vision, how you're gonna get there, who's going with you, all of that changes. You know what I mean?
I mean, look at it like that. It changes in a matter of months. Once you achieve one step up the ladder, then it's a totally different view.
Because change is so gradual. Like you can have the total mind shift. Completely. Like for example, let's say after a Toad session, you're like, oh my God, you're enlightened, but you can go back to being a piece of shit. I know.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Like the ever looming hurricane season. Gotta love it.
This one started late, because this is supposed to end in November. So we only really have is 1 month. This is the very last hump. But from the one that hit last week.
Back up, all I can see is your chin when you're talking. Morning, Daria. Sure?
I don't think she can hear you, but you said something.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, we did get late storms.
Because it was late storms. There's another guy that I get from. He's been really accurate this season, and there's another one coming. There's another one coming in about another week, towards the end of next week, and it's coming from the Gulf side as well. There's a lot of activity in the Gulf, so it's crazy. I've never seen this much.
I know. They said that they had another one that was spinning up. It was like area of interest 21 or something like that. And I was like, okay, yeah. So, but then it wasn't off the coast of Africa again either, which is crazy.
No, for some reason are we in a Nino or a Nina?
I think it was Nina last time I'd heard about it. But
that is a reason of why it's coming from this other side. I don't know.
Really?
Yes. That part I do remember paying attention in class. Because hold on. Yeah, back when you got belly.
Yeah.
I'll just take you with me. I'll just take you with me. Here. Thank you.
Oh Lord. Every time I get comments.
What's that?
I keep on. Every time I get a comment, I always look at it. I'm like what they say this time, but it's always Josh Dobbs. It's like,
the Josh Dobbs too. Yeah. Yeah, the Josh Dobbs comment. I was like, wait a minute. I didn't even know who the guy was.
Me neither.
No disrespect. I don't watch. I'm not a big sports guy. I do enjoy a good soccer game, but actually, I lied. I enjoy a good game. A good game. I will watch anything as long as I have a reason to watch it. For example,
Yeah.
let's say it's I don't know, even a kid game or something. I enjoy watching. It doesn't matter the type of sport. I enjoy the camaraderie. I don't care what kind of. I enjoy a good match. There's something about the camaraderie, the brotherhood. Just of two human beings just really trying it out. I really enjoy that. I really do.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I
But
enjoy good competition.
yeah,
I
it doesn't
agree.
matter. I don't have a favorite.
But then I think a lot of people like, I don't know. Well, I might get some smoke about this, but I don't really care. Like, you got people that will know the stats of every freaking player on the team, and it's like obsessive to a point where it's just insane to me. Even when I was younger, like I played sports my whole life, and I played in college, and I was exceptional. But yet, I wasn't the guy that would sit there and watch games like nonstop. I mean, the NFL, college, like it didn't matter what those guys all day, every day. And like I had stuff to do. I don't know. I'm trying to. I don't know. Like it's cool. Like we went to the Bucks game a couple weeks ago, and that was great. We had a great time, and that was one day,
Hmm. That's
not
enough.
so. And I haven't turned on the game since. My wife said like die hard what is it, Bears fan. She loves the Bears. Like if you go on her freaking Facebook, there's a video of her like bouncing with her new chain that's got the big bear on it. She's all happy. It's like it's so freaking awesome. But yeah, it's just not me. I don't care. Like not enough. But
Do you have a favorite team or
I
type?
no, I rep the local teams. So I rep the Broncos because I'm from Colorado, and then I do the Bucks. And the only reason why I do the Bucks is because Vincent Jackson was somebody that grew up in our neighborhood, and he since passed away a few years ago. So, but he played there, and so like I have all of his jerseys. The only one I don't have is his Pro Bowl jersey, but I have the one from when he played for the Chargers, and then two of the ones from the Bucks.
So I remember that I was always asked, oh, who's your favorite team when you're growing up, And I would always say Michigan, Michigan,
Nice.
Michigan. And the reason I would say that is because I fell in love with that whole Wolverine type, those
Oh,
colors, the blue and that gold fucking
I can do
yellow.
that. No.
Remember, I was 4.5, 5 years old, and one of the first things that somebody gave me when coming to the States was a machine, a Michigan hat,
Nice.
and those colors became my hat,
Mm.
and those colors, those to this day is my favorite combination. You know, it's and it's just funny because I've never even really watched the Michigan game, but when I realized that Michigan was a university up in cold, nastyville, fucking disgusting fucking place, I was like, there's no way I would go up there. So there
That's
goes my
hilarious.
college plans.
That's hilarious. All the adjectives to describe the disgustingness of the cold. That's
uh,
awesome. Uh, like yeah, no, college teams is always going to be CU and CSU, and they're like rivals, but Colorado. So, or my college team was the Grizzlies, but they're Division two, so you never catch them on TV. But yeah, we're so overrated. I said it. Don't care. I mean it. Nobody will ever see it anyways.
well, you know what it is? It's sports are a way out for a lot of people, but they're like, oh, he's really independent, especially those guys who really excel. Whatever happened to the 98%, 99% of the guys that are just floating through? Most everybody is millionaire. Congratulations. You're doing your thing, but you have those regular players, those 98% of the just average players
that nobody talks about.
that nobody talks about. Yeah, they have a couple bucks in their pocket, but they're fucking nobodies.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? And they're exceptional.
Right.
See, that's the thing. They're exceptional at what they do. They're great. I mean, they wouldn't be there if they weren't top
Yeah.
notch fucking individuals, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it just goes to show that there's mediocrity everywhere.
I'm
Even
never
in
thought about
even even in the top tiers. Yeah, dude. Because
considering when you're looking at like, so you have guys that were the best in high school, and then they all go to college,
and they
and
suck.
then no. So what happens is you have all the best people in the same place, and now the difference is so minute that you have to really hone in on your craft. And then
Yeah.
after you get from that next level, then it's just like everybody's a savage and they're trying to take each other's head. So even if they're not like very, they're not in the spotlight, these guys that nobody talks about are freaking phenomenal. Even the guys on the practice squad would take your head off.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
it's just like insane. So I
Mhm.
don't really know. I wouldn't say mediocrity in the field of a bunch of freaking gladiators, but there's not very much difference when you're looking at it's like the superstar, and then it's the leader, the superstar, and then everybody else is the supporting cast and crew. Because I mean, it's still a team sport, and Patrick Mahomes can be phenomenal up by himself, but without that supporting crew, like they're still not gonna fucking win. Like, so blowing assignments change games real fast.
I agree with everything you said. The only thing is that there could be different levels of mediocrity. There has to be. You know what I mean? There has to be different levels of mediocrity. And the reason I say that is because when you have a certain standard, okay? Example, here's a great example. The Daniel that sits there right now, when he decides to just be fucking blah and scratch his belly button, is a different Daniel than Daniel 10 years ago. You see what I'm saying? You've outgrown yourself. You're in a totally different mindset. You see what I'm saying? You may have had certain ideas, your same ideas or concepts, but you are completely different. You know what I mean? There's no comparison.
That's very true.
I'm sorry.
So that's very true.
Okay, thank you. I thought you said that wasn't true.
Definitely not the same person I was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 2 years ago.
No, the way you think, everything that's important to you. I mean, it really, really, really is. The end goal might still be similar, but that's why we have to tweak it, and that's why we have to constantly do it. But ultimately, it's completely different. The vision, how you're going to get there, who's going with you, all of that changes. You know what I mean?
I mean, I look at it like that. It changes in a matter of months. Well,
Well,
what you achieve one step up the ladder, then it's
well,
a totally different view.
that's why they always say, you never are going to realize, because change is so gradual. Like, you can have the total mind shift, completely. Like, for example, let's say after a Toad session, you're like, oh my God, you're enlightened, but you can go back to being a piece of shit. I know.
Welcome back. Yeah.
Yeah. It does happen. You know what I mean? It's just how you perceive it, and how, oh shit, I had to have learned something, and that's it, dude. It's just getting better. But I also I was thinking about when we were talking about sports, and how sports are the new coliseums. Sports are these are gladiators,
Yeah.
you know, and it's just another way. And then I start thinking about it, it's like, well, that's how a lot of these slaves, they bought their freedom. They, is by doing their best and so forth. It's just, we've all been playing the same fucking game. It's just, it's called differently now. you know, they're not really independent until they start owning, until they really buy their independence. Look at
Yeah.
fucking Jordan. Oh shit, Jordan's new airplane is fantastically beautiful.
Oh, really?
Oh my god, dude. My buddy just fucking posted a video on it. It's parked here in Palm Beach, and I haven't been to Palm Beach in a couple of days. I don't know. This has been a really long week for me.
Yeah, I can only imagine. This, this week has been it's kind of bananas.
Oh yeah.
Like
So
I've been up all night,
I can imagine.
like just trying to watch for tornadoes is
Oh my
essentially
god.
what's so when I called you, I
Yeah.
called you and I called Anthony, and then after I talked to you two, I went to sleep for a couple hours because I was like, all right, it's gonna start turning for the worst. I need to make sure I'm rested because I know I'm not gonna sleep. And
Yeah.
I think I woke back up at like midnight, maybe 11 o'clock, and then I was awake for all of the updates. We'll just put it that way. And there's one at 11, there's one at 2, there's one at 5. And I caught all three of them.
Oh
So
my god.
this is like, yeah, but here's the deal. Like it's important to not be sleeping when it's dark out and there are tornadoes and things like that coming because you might have to move to a different room or something like that. And the only like our little shelter is a closet. So I prefer not to sleep in there if we don't have to.
I
But
haven't.
like
Is your house impact or no?
so we have impact windows. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, and it's a cinder block construction. The only two windows that aren't impact. Oh, there's three. There's one on the garage. The French doors that are back here are not impact, and then the front decorative glass on the front door aren't impact. So those are the three places that had to be shored up. But the only that's the only one that's left is the front door because once I put the one on the front door, you can't open it. So I'll do that when we get off this morning, and I'll stack the propane tanks inside, then the trash barrels, and stage the cars. So
Wow.
already done. So finished everything. I tried to finish everything Sunday, and then I had to cut that tree down on Monday or trim that tree. But other than
Yeah.
that, so I sent you the picture of that thing, didn't I?
Yeah, he did. That was crazy.
It's like the size, like the pile is almost the size of my wife's car, and it was just
Yeah.
one limb off that tree that was gonna. I was just like, it's gonna fall in the house. I don't want to deal with it. It's gonna fall in the house or fall in my truck. And either way, I don't like either one of those scenarios. So I was like, yeah, let's get the cut. And like the way that because I'm not a tree trimmer, I legit anchored that thing to the front of my truck with a tow strap on the toe eyes of the big clevis, and freaking pulled it as far back so I was breaking traction and started cutting it, and it legit fell. After I chunked it down, it still like missed the roof by like 6 inches when I freaking dropped it. And I was just like,
I know I got an airplane in Naples. I was thinking about when you were in when you're telling me your cutting story. I remembered that I had there's an airplane in Naples that I've been meaning to go do, and I'll probably go do it Friday, depending on how bad the flooding is.
mm,
Because the receding waters, if I'm not mistaken, dude, the last time that this area that other storm was a couple years back, um, that storm flooded the fuck out of Naples, dude. Marco Island, Naples.
are you talking about Irma?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
that sucked. I still work down there for that one. I was still working for Bald Eagle.
Yeah.
That's the one that the MDX was flipped upside down in the hangar against the wall.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yes. Because
And
I
yeah,
know.
all the back roads were flooded too on that one because we didn't take the interstate. We actually evacuated for that one because we lived in flood zone. I think we were in A or B. I think it was B. And yeah, 'cause that was the one where I was like, "We need to go." And I was like, "Ah, we're not going nowhere." It's like, "Yeah." And then she was like, "See it go across the TV, mandatory evacuation." And she's like, "Wait, that's a zone." It's like, "Told you we need to go." And so her parents didn't want to leave, and we ended up going over there, and I had a very pissed off father-in-law after that, but we all left. But that's the thing is like, so like we don't leave unless there's a mandatory evacuation, but it's a mandatory evacuation, and people will still argue with it, like they know better than the expert because they love their home and their comfort. Like I talked to one of the ladies that I'm a big brother for her son.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Are you squared away? Do you need any help?" Like, she's like, "Well, no, we got most of it done Sunday. Somebody came by and helped us out today." It's like, "All right, cool." And she's like, "But if it gets really bad, I think we're gonna leave." And I was like, I'm sitting there like, "What do you mean if it gets bad, you're gonna leave? What zone are you in?" She's like, "Oh, we're in A." And I was like, "You need to effing leave." It's like they called that evacuation 2 days ago. And like, mind you, her neighborhood floods when it rains without storm surge. And it's just like, and so she ended up leaving and going to stay with her sister. And I was just like the most matter of fact, like, yeah, you need to leave. Like it's you by yourself and your son, and that's it.
Yeah.
So it's I don't get it. And like we stick it out if it makes sense to like if the data makes sense to where you're not gonna drown and like you can deal with the wind because cinder block house. I mean, it's the same as going to a freaking shelter. So, but we have the comforts of home. But other than like nobody can you can't beat water.
Yeah.
You can't. You saw Fort Myers Beach 2 years ago. Like somebody, like a kid with a big eraser, just started going across the map like this and just knocking stuff off. It was just gone.
That's horrible, but yes.
But yeah, that's essentially what happened last time. We couldn't believe it. We went down to Bayfront Bistro, was further down the island, and they were open second story. It was a couple months after the storm, and freaking like just the devastation or the lack thereof buildings. It was like everything was beach property from the road now. You could see, like, you could literally see the beach, and like before, it used to all be buildings. And like that's the stuff that people. It's like they forget so quickly. Like there's a story on the news this morning where the last hurricane that was a couple weeks ago, he's like, "Yeah, I was in my RV over on Matt Lachey, and I went out to check my outriggers, and the water had a telephone pole in it, and it took out my legs, and it took me under." And he's like, "I caught my footing right before I went into the canal." He is like, "We
Holy
would be having
fuck,
this
dude.
conversation." Yeah, he is like,
No.
"I'd be gone." And he's like, "So I'm leaving." And that's the stuff that people like. You can't beat water. You can't see what's in it. It's
No.
like it'll move your car. There's literally cars and ditches still from the last little, and we didn't even get hit last time. It was just storm surge. So yeah, all flood and all that stuff's in flood zone A. So that's what we got
Wow.
going on over here. Yay! So, but as long as once we get to the point where we're going to hunker down, I grilled some more chicken yesterday. So we've got food that we can eat that's cold. We got like 40 pounds of ice. The generator's prepped, checked, running, treated. Like we got everything that we need and a bunch of ammo. So, so that's like, so when was it Ian? It was a couple years ago. There's people running around breaking into houses.
Yeah.
And they do it every time there's a hurricane, there's a storm,
I
and
think that's why that guy was here.
yeah, it is because people start slipping because
Yeah.
their minds focused on other stuff. Is all it is a freaking asshole. I'm gonna post them online too. I already recorded it. I just gotta put some stuff on there. I'm gonna find the music that says douchebag over and over again. And I'm so annoyed with that. But
I made a short of how, this is how legends are made. You know, I put that.
like it's just ridiculous. But so I don't know if you ever see like Sheriff Carmine from Lee County on TV, but he's all over TikTok and he like will call out people.
Oh, the guy over here from Polk County. Yeah,
Oh no, that's a different one. Polk County
oh,
Judge or Judd Grady. He's
Grady.
over. He's a
Grady.
freaking nutcase.
Dude,
Um,
yeah, he is.
he does not care. He'll talk about. He's like, we will gun you down. Um, he's like, we would prefer that you surrender peacefully, but if you don't, you're not going home. and that's and that's essentially how Carmine is here too. They don't care. They'll literally raid the trap house and then they'll start doing TikTok dances with their money, and they'll all be bouncing with their drugs and their money and their guns and like the whole it's so freaking ridiculous. So that's where we live. So if you come around here, they literally had like 1,000 cops on our street because they chased somebody that was breaking into houses, and it was like unmarked vehicles like just swarming back. And I'm walking out the front door, like,
Fuck is that? Yeah.
and unmarked F-150 comes around the corner. Get back in your fucking house. Oh, okay. I'll go back in my house. We're sitting there calling a couple people. They're like, yeah, no, they're chasing somebody. They think they got them narrowed down, and then all of a sudden, you see him flying by. Well, next block over, he was on somebody's lanai.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like, they told you because they went first. They hit the beach. They're catching people from Orlando. They're catching people from Miami, all over the state, coming over here and looting. And like, yeah, so we know you lost everything. We're gonna come over and we're gonna see if we can get anything that the water didn't take from you. Yeah, fuck you. Like it's just, it's a good time. But so that's where we live. They will. Our sheriff department's kind of crazy. Our city cops are kind of crazy.
Looting, yeah. It depends. Like I remember when I went to go help with Hurricane uh Ike. It was Hurricane Ike in 2008 over in Galveston.
Mm.
And
Oh,
we were
okay.
and we were staying in Pasadena. I remember that uh we'd go into these areas, dude, and I would ask, how long has this been empty? And they'll tell us, a couple months or whatever, a couple weeks, or I was like, all right, however long it may be, I don't remember. I know that there was one place that it had been over a month, but it just cleared out. You know, I mean, there was, and I remember going through. We were when they finally opened Galveston Island, like when they opened it, and that's when I was telling you that there was horses and cattle and just hanging from the fences. I mean, just drowned. It was
Sucks.
devastating. Um, dude, the storm surge and all that stuff. All these houses are on stilts, right? It got to that. It went into the second floor. I mean, it went into the first actual floor of the house. I mean, it was just really bad. Everything. I remember seeing just mountains of just household stuff, whatever. But like normal house, just mountains and mountains and mountains of stuff. You know that I remember seeing guys fucking just. I mean, we're all picking through and looking at these things, and yeah, I guess you can think that's now that's if it's outside and stuff like that. Sure, why not? It's common game. But if you're inside, like there's people that will literally break into a house to see what to take full advantage of the devastation of the
Right.
storm to go steal something that still is of value, that still works. Dude, those people need to be shot. I mean, that's stepping on somebody's fucking ball sack. I mean, it's like, but,
Yeah.
you know,
And that was
hitting
the
them.
message that was given too, that they would be shot.
That's not right, dude. It's not right. I'm all about picking shit up off the street, but
Right.
but
Yeah. That's just
no,
it's just different.
it's different when you. I mean, just think about it this way, dude. No, they didn't steal anything of mine, but just the fact that there was a strange man fumbling through my things,
Oh man.
right? That's all I have to say.
He
There
looks
was
so
a
he looks so at home too.
he took his fucking sweet time, you know. And my wife, and I got yelled at by my wife. She's like, "It's the last time you turn my ringer off at night." Because I always, yeah, I do. I turn her ringer off, and sure enough, you had the ring going. What was
It
it?
had me going nonstop for an hour.
It had to be going. It was, because I don't know, man. Great security system, but I could have. But you know what? Things happen for a reason too. If I would have seen that, I would have gone. I would have gone. Who knows what would have happened?
Yeah.
Maybe, you know. Um, Here's the example. My wife goes. I love her to death. She's amazing. She goes. You see that? I would have gone out and it's just pop, pop, pop. And I'm like, you're going to jail. You go out there waving a gun and shooting, you're going to jail. She goes, but I shot at the dirt. You're going to jail. But I shot in the air. You're going to jail. I was like, you have to shoot him in the head, and
And you're still going to jail.
and and you just make sure that he's facing you. You
Like,
know,
yeah.
make sure
You
that he's
can't defend
facing you.
carbine.
You can't. And she's like, and I said, oh, by the way, if they're outside the house, yeah, you have to be in very close proximity. Because they can. And I told her all the different ways that she can go to jail forever, just because the guy was stealing my shit.
Yeah. It's
I was like, yeah, it sucks. You
uh,
can't. That's why I told everybody, and that's one of the good things that my dad also taught me. He goes, Nest, guns are important. Knowing how to shoot is important. All of that, but nothing is more important than knowing that if you pull a gun out and point it at somebody, you better fucking shoot them.
mm,
Because it better be for a situation that it's life threatening. Because if not, I guarantee you, this is what he said to me. He goes, whether it's the law or that other man or that other person, you see that sight? Yeah, you better fucking just go ahead and shave it down, because they're gonna shove that barrel so far up your ass, it's
geez.
gonna fucking hurt. And I'm thinking to myself, I understand, because society in itself will tell me that I was wrong to shoot some motherfucker because he was stealing my shit. Well, you weren't an imminent threat. He wasn't a threat to you. He was running away. I'm trying to stop him from stealing other people's. Yeah, you shouldn't have killed him.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, fuck
And
me.
if you don't kill him, then he can sue you too.
Then
So
he can sue you too. Exactly. If you,
yeah,
as I said, oh, I'll just shoot him in the leg because I don't want to hurt him. You're going, okay, so maybe you won't go to jail, but you're going to get sued and you're going to lose.
Going to jail. all pass with discharge of a firearm within city limits go to jail. It
Do
doesn't
not
matter.
pass go. Do not. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and that's just the kind of the way it is. Because we had there's a guy a couple streets over. He actually came to look at the tree. That's how I made the determination that it needed to be trimmed, because he's a landscaping guy. He owns a pretty large landscaping company, but his truck had been he didn't lock his truck, and so probably same guy came back and hit it again, and it still wasn't locked. So he got more stuff out of it, and the neighbor had caught somebody trying to go into his truck on camera, and so he went out and he like stalked him down the street while he was on the phone with the police because he's an ex-cop. And so he's like, if you come in from this direction, real low key,
Oh shit.
you'll be on the short. And they didn't listen to him, so they came through freaking code 3 lights and sirens, got away. And the guy that owns the landscaping company was like, I'd have went out there and I'd have held him at gunpoint. And he's like, you're going to jail. He's like, well, what's the purpose of having a gun if I can defend my stuff? And so that's not what it's for. It's like there's a, and it's like the cowboy American mentality where we can, stop right there, freeze. Like this is not what it is. And then sometimes you kind of wish it is, but it really has to be imminent loss of life when you're pulling a firearm to stop that. So
there has to be 1,001 ways. That's why I'm telling, and I told my daughter and I told my son and the same thing. And, carrying a knife is just as, or sometimes even better than having a gun, because you get a crazy dude pointing a gun at you. You have a gun, you have a knife. If you're just an average Joe, he's not going to be able to shoot you when you're charging at him. It's just, yeah. People get scared. There's no training behind it. I really feel that, that having you get charged with a fucking knife, you're going to get stabbed. You're going to get stabbed. If you're not trained in gun and hand-to-hand combat gun operations, how to shoot somebody at close proximity, there's
somebody pulls a gun on me, I'm giving them my stuff. So like I'm gonna try not to pull a firearm. Like, here, you can, like, you want the wallet, take it. All right, cool. Like, go about your day. I don't know if he's gonna get my truck, but he can get the wallet. So he might catch some lead for the truck. Give me the keys. Yeah, sure, right here.
I never had a gun pulled on me, but I've had a knife pulled on me, and yeah, it's not a pleasing. I've been robbed. It's just.
Never been robbed. I've been shot at a few times, on different occasions, but just not really something. But and like that, my reaction is a lot different than other people when gunfire starts. Like I'm low and I'm looking to see where it came from instead of running around and losing my shit. So I think that's just because I've had a little more experience than I should have in that scenario, and a lot of people never have. So it's like,
yeah, no, yeah,
it's just like, all right. But
yeah, these are things that it's always a speculation. It's unless you're in it, unless you're there, that's why just regular training is important. I was thinking about something the other day when you were telling me, it's like that human beings, we're going to get bored. We have to do something. We have to, because if not, we're going to be fucking bored. That whole fucking being on a deserted island, you better make sure you got fucking something to do.
Some sort of purpose.
Yeah.
You lose your mind.
Because you will lose your mind. Fucking, wait, why did I talk about that? I was going to say something. I just had a squirrel moment.
Probably about training.
Training. Thank you. Training. So, average Americans, they go to school or they go to work and they come back and they veg and they don't do anything else. Part of personal development is physical training, is maximizing your body. You know what I mean? It's part that personal development is exactly what that means. You know, it's the physical part is extremely, extremely, extremely important. You know, knowing how to conduct yourself in situations are things that we need to really focus on too, as well. You know, because
Yeah.
you never know, right? Like I'm teaching my daughter, you know, self-awareness when she's out there, you know, so she's not like her mom and go, oh my God, it's so beautiful. Look. Right. No, you know, you gotta really pay attention to your surroundings and so forth. You know, she has um, an electric discharger. What do you call that? Fucking stun gun.
Taser.
Yeah, she's got a taser. I gave her a
Yeah,
taser.
I,
Yeah.
I got her one too. She never freaking kept it charged. Battery dead. It was like she was like so happy with it. With it, it's blue, like anodized blue. She was like, "Yeah, keep it in my purse." And then it's like, it's a flashlight that doesn't even work now because it's never been charged.
For my emergency purposes. Hold on, let me charge this.
Yeah, it's so bad. I plugged it in like a year later, hoping that I could bring it back. It was like, yeah, screw you.
Oh shit! It died.
It's dead. Like I'll have to send it in. They have it replaced or something. But yeah,
All you do is just the battery. If you can get access to the battery, see exactly how many volts you get, and then depending on how many volts, you can actually shock it. For example, let's say I'm going to use an example. I don't a regular battery, 1.5 volts, right? So if you have a 1.5 volt battery and you have another 1.5 volt battery that won't take charge, right? It's just
mm-hmm.
dead. It's just dead. So you get the same type of battery and you run that 1.5 volts positive negative to negative, you keep that current, so now it's just circling through both batteries the same current, right? If it's circling through, you're giving a little bit of juice and you're kind of reconditioning a little bit. It's what we call a cap charge. And then
Oh
once
really?
that, yeah, and then it's fully drained, so now it needs to trickle in. Once it starts trickling in, it'll trick it and go, oh, I have juice now, and now you can put full power to it. So yes, there is a way to recondition them.
That's crazy. Good to know.
Example, you're a tool guy, works the same way with your fucking DeWalt or Milwaukee batteries, the 12, the 18. When you plug it in and it starts flashing red and white, red and green, red and green. Hey, I'm not working. I'm not working. You're like, fuck, my battery's not charging. You clean connectors. Hey, it's not charging. It's not. What happens is the battery's completely dead, and it's so dead, it's not drawing current. It won't allow it to draw any current. So you need to jump start it with the same type battery, whatever. Just make sure that, you know, if you're running an 18 volt, fucking make sure it's nice. Yeah, don't just put anything because you're gonna create a lot of heat. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So just positive, negative, and negative.
Okay.
You know, plug it right there. Give it about 5 minutes of a good charge, especially if it's a brand new, if it's a fully charged battery to a dead battery. Give it a good 5 minutes. That's more than enough. Good 5 minutes,
Yep.
and then take the one that's dead and then put it to charge, and it'll work.
Hmm.
Yep.
Interesting. Very interesting. I guess you make sure you use something that's got some good insulation on it too, because that's
Yeah.
important.
Well, I mean, there's with for you can use like for yeah, like you said, good installation, but
I have
you know,
I have
six
looms of wire in my garage, so
like 16 gauge wire is more than enough for average 18 volts. You know, that's 16 gauge is more than enough. You know, insulated.
oh well, because my immediate brain went to the very poor decision of like cut two pieces of a wire hanger and just put them on there, and I was like, yeah, that's bad.
Actually, yes and no. It's actually not bad. It's
Okay,
okay. The
okay,
reason is that's not bad. It's more than enough, and it's not going to bright up.
okay.
You're not going to turn it into a fucking into a light
A
bulb.
heating coil, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. The only thing is, of course, you know, there's no insulation. You just got to make sure that nobody touches it because
Right.
I have used two razor blades.
Hmm. No kidding. Yeah, problem solving.
You see what I'm saying?
That's
Yeah,
all
I
it is.
have you. I was like, oh fuck. So what do I got? I don't have anything. I was like, so I'll shove a razor blade on, and then I'll just connect the other one with the razor blade. So I've done that too. So
Nice.
yes, you can use. Just make sure that nothing else touches it,
All
because
right.
you'd be ruining a couple of them. But what else can I tell you?
Oh, there's
Oh,
a. I was gonna say there's an app. You were talking about training, and
yes.
there's a app that was put out by Jocko.
Okay.
Um, it's called it's the Eminently Qualified Human, EQH app, and it will go through and it'll have you gauge the level of your intent on becoming better. And so it'll go through your health, your fitness, your training, like physical. That's what actually made me think about when I started boxing. Is like you're slipping on that aspect of it, like the defense aspect of it, and that's when I started going to the range more. Is when I started using that because it was like these things are perishable skills. So you can be a G in your fitness and then lack in all the other areas, and you still get smoked. So like it makes you actually pay attention to all the different areas. Um,
Really?
yeah, no, I freaking that's why I like podcasts because you listen to all this stuff. So like it has health and it's like physical fitness, sleep, rest, and diet. So we think of health. When people like talk about physical fitness, they tend to neglect the last two: personal development, so intellectual fitness, time management, financial management, and personal goals.
Well, that most people think of personal development, it's just of like reading or
Yeah,
but if you think about it, everything starts with the mind. So,
yeah,
and you said it, Conor McGregor said it, if you got the balls to fucking, if you can say it, if you got the balls to say it, if you visualize it and you got the balls to say it, it's
yeah.
gonna fucking happen. It's gonna fucking happen. I've had that mentality for a very long time. Sometimes even my wife, she's like, "Why you talk so much? Why are you
Mm,
telling everybody your secrets? Why are you telling everybody, what your actions are?" I tell everybody. I have no problem. I like to be held accountable. I don't know.
mm,
Like, oh yeah, I'm working on this and I'm working on that. She's like, I thought we were, this project that we're working on is her project, so I can't.
mm.
It's not mine, and so I'm helping her with her project, and I can't disclose it yet, but other than that, if it was mine, I'd tell you straight up what it is. I,
Yeah.
I have no problems, you know. Now she has a way of thinking as like, the evil eye or people have with bad intentions and the envy. And I just look at it the other way though. I look at it as like, yeah, but I can help. They help keep me accountable, right? Because if I said, "Hey, I'm gonna go do this," like I tell everybody right now, and she's, oh my god, she doesn't. I've noticed that when I tell her, I said, I gotta stop doing that. I'm gonna, I have to run. I have to get my cardio going. And she goes, I don't know why you signed up for that stupid race. And I'm like, oh, I gotta
Yeah.
run. She, cause
Did you run?
no, I haven't ran today yet. No, no, not today yet. And
Did you run yesterday?
I didn't run yesterday.
What about the day before?
I didn't run the day before.
Mhm.
No, I know that's 3 days already. Well, today's the third day. I have to run today. I will run today. I will
I
actually.
don't think I'm
I
gonna make it today.
huh?
I don't think I'm gonna get to run today. I don't know. I think it's a little,
You?
yeah, it's a little iffy.
I have to. I have to run. I have to run right now. I have to run right now after the call. So, but I have. But I have to anyway. So I told her, I was like, the reason I say this and the reason I is because it helps keep me accountable. If I tell somebody, hey, I'm opening up a fucking online school, for aviation mechanics. And it took me almost a year, dude.
Yeah.
It took me almost a year when it was finally done, and a lot of money. It took me a lot of money. That was every bit of $60,000, $70,000.
Jeez.
Every bit of it. Um,
And time.
well, yeah, but at the time I don't count because it's something I wanted to do anyway, right? So yeah, but yeah, I remember when I was filming those videos that I would wake up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'd be in there fucking blah 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 blah, and then I go take a nap and then go to work. It's just different things. But anyway, I tell people my story. I tell them, hey, I'm working on this because I want to do this, you know? And then that way, next time they see me, they can ask me, hey, how did that go? And if it worked out, great, great. And if it didn't work out, hey, it didn't work out. And it's just a good reminder, once again, of what happened.
I think that's a good indication of the people around you too. Because if you're telling the right people that are going to hold you accountable and not the dream stealers, and of course, you have to allow somebody to steal your dream, but somebody pointing negative energy onto the fire, or like just pissing on the flame, like, yeah, nah, well, this is why you shouldn't do that, and give you all
Yeah,
the reasons why something won't work, instead of trying to help you figure it out or hold you accountable is a big deal. Because the best way to kill a dream or future progress is telling something to the wrong person. And so, but really, and I mean, when you're looking at, like, that's a very good indicator of people you need to get the fuck out of your life. Um, quite frankly, and like I had people around me that were all like, "Oh, well, I think you should be doing this." I was like, "Well, I mean, I didn't ask you." Then it came to the point where it just kept on, like, I was like, "Yeah," so it just snip, 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 and cut that person out and keep on moving. It's super duper important. Uh, like, surroundings, insane, and like, then when you get rid of that person, you make room for the right people,
yeah,
which is huge.
that
Um,
is true. Because you're pretty much capped off, right? So that would be a great analogy, right? So our life is this cup, and as I've, it's our cup is always full, right? Our lives are always busy, like we're always doing something, right? So our cup is always full. So how can we allow new information to come in or new people to jump into our lives if we're still have full of the old and nasty shit that you have to constantly? I like that.
One hundred
I like
percent.
it.
He's like, yeah, like, yeah, and then that's how you can give to others when you're really truly full of the right stuff. It's like they say they used to say your cup overfloweth when they were talking about biblical stuff, and it's because you had an abundance
An
that you could.
abundance,
Yeah,
an abundance. I always talk about abundance,
yeah,
about how we live in abundance, about the land of abundance. And I'm noticing, and I have noticed that abundance is for everyone. It's just the type of abundance that you attract. What kind of abundance are you attracting? You have to get your mind set. You have to be, and everything starts with the mind. You know, I truly, 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 truly. Earl Nightingale, when he talks about the strangest secret, dude, that right there. I mean, the strangest secret. If nobody's heard it, it's free on YouTube. It's like 38 minutes long. It's a video. It's like it's him reading his book. It's very short and it is amazing. It talks about exactly everything. It's talks about how it's like it tells you specifically what the secret is, the true secret of life, the true secret of happiness, the true secret of wealth, the true secret of everything, how it actually starts with you. 100%. The problem is that we don't see it. Average Americans, we don't. I remember at one time in my life, you don't see, oh, how am because we're programmed to think a certain way. It's like, oh, how can I have that? That's not meant for me. That's not meant for people like me, or no, on the contrary, it's like, how can I get there? How can I look at certain things? How can I? That's all it is. When you ask the universe exactly the specific questions of, why, don't ask it, why can't I said, how can I? Don't re-emphasize, don't tell yourself 1,000 reasons why you can't do it, because guess what, you're going to believe it. But if you ask yourself, how can I do this, if it's so impossible, can you imagine the scenarios that are going to run through your mind? You're going to run scenarios left and right. Can I do this? If I do it this way, nope. If I do it that way, nope. If I do it this way, nope. If I do it, maybe, great. Let's see if it works. That's pretty much what it comes down to. That's pretty
Yeah.
much it.
I mean, he lays it out pretty straightforward. Any person that has a worthy ideal or goal has a direction to go into, and if you have the direction to go, as long as you stay focused on the direction, you actually get there. And so, most of us, quoting but paraphrasing, most of us run through life. Yeah, most of us run through life without any destination or goal. They ultimately don't get anywhere. So it's like a captain on a ship. If he sets out to leave the harbor with a given destination with the crew and set of tools, he's going to get there. But if you put a ship in a harbor without a rudder and just set it off, it's ultimately going to end up derelict on the beach somewhere with no goal, destination, or anything. And that's how most people wander through life. That's how I wandered through life when I was younger, because I didn't really expect to be alive that long. So I never had any goals on what I wanted to achieve. The only thing I knew is I wanted a Lamborghini. That was the only thing that I ever said I wanted. The only way that I thought to be able to get it was to go to the NFL, because people from my neighborhood don't get rich. But when we look down the road, you start to learn, develop, and see these other things, and you realize that all things are possible if you actually set your mind to it. And I'm gonna get that damn Lamborghini. Like, I couldn't even pronounce it. It was a Countach.
Yes. Yes.
Just a beautiful freaking machine.
98, 99 model.
It was probably
96, 7, 95. Yeah.
But I mean, I looked at the new ones a few months ago, and I was just like, gosh, it's like they're sick.
It's funny because Ferrari has done a great job of maintaining its high class. It's it's like, yes, you can buy a used Ferrari, in an auction or whatever, but you can't just go to a dealership and buy a Ferrari.
No.
Like, they'll do a whole background check on you. Like, you can't go to a Ferrari dealership and just say, "Hey, I got $500,000. I'll take that one." No, they won't let you. They want to know who you are, what you are, how you made your money.
They protect the brand.
They protect the brand incredibly.
It's insane. Like, there's rappers that have bought them, and, like, they've been sued by Ferrari for destroying their brand. Like, customizing, putting rims and stuff on. They're like, yeah, that's not acceptable here, and they get sued. I was like, what the, like, oh, apparently you had some bylaws when you bought that vehicle. I never knew that was even a thing. Like, not only are you going to give me, a ridiculous amount of money for this car, I'm going to tell you what you can and can't do with it. Like,
Tesla did that with the Cybertruck.
Did they really? Because I've seen some pretty crazy ones.
There was a Mexican guy that I follow on TikTok, dude. This cat, the whole came to this country, worked his ass off, now owns the company, the business, and he bought himself. He's like, people ask me how I bought a Cybertruck. I've been country 6 years, 7 years, very short time. One of those guys, right? Dude, long time ago, he said, somebody told me invest in Apple. So I pay all my money. Yes, dude, he put his money in Apple like 10 years ago.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So he's like, I bought $98, now $400. Rich man. I'm like, holy fuck, yeah, you are. You know, just insane. Good for you. You don't hear stories about that. You know, a guy that really was smart with his money. So anyway, he bought a truck and he has a construction company. So guess what? He put like he had roll tubes, right? Molded around. So he created a fucking like a topper.
Mm-hmm.
Created, right? So you can just carry shit on it, carry shit on top of the truck. He got papers of cease and desist and to put the vehicle back in its original condition. He goes,
No.
I pay $140,000 for this shit. Fuck you, man. It's a work vehicle.
Yeah.
Oh God. You know, dude, how about those guys? Have you ever seen them? There's guys destroying that Cybertruck. There was one guy who was pulling a guy out, and the whole winch, bumper, everything just broke off. He goes, well, that's not safe. It was kind of like glued on. There was, oh my God. There
Yeah,
is
those
no,
don't really have a frame, do they?
they
For
don't
you
have a
to
frame.
like,
They don't have a frame.
there never should have been a winch on that vehicle. Just from
No.
an engineering standpoint, and I'm not the engineer, but I mean that just doesn't sound right to me. So it's like, go ahead, let me let me go bolt a winch up to the tailgate of my truck and see how that works out. It's not going to work well. Like that's essentially what it's just stupid. It's so stupid. Well, nice. But now that we've got all the hurricane stuff coming and was thinking about it, I was like, all that stuff that I said that I was going to do to the other vehicles, I'm probably going to actually get it done now because, like, that's the reason why I wanted to snorkel and all this other stuff, like that I would never, God forbid, have to use. But still,
Now, yeah. Okay, I know what your all-time I've made it vehicle is, but let me ask you a question. What is your all-time like badass SUV vehicle that you want?
dude, I'm a car. I love vehicles, so it's kind of scatterbrained. There is a Conquest tank. I call it a tank. It's made by, I think it's Conquest or Knight. I'll show it to you. And it's so ridiculously stupid. But we like armored vehicles in this house. So, um, yeah. Here, Conquest.
My buddy has one of those Ford F-650s.
Yeah.
He pushes airplanes with it. I was like,
Oh, really?
yeah. And I was like, I think it's a tank. Yeah, pretty much could be. Fucking
Yeah, no, it's pretty much what we got going on here. My wife wanted a G-Wagon at one point in time, and then I was looking at things and I was like, I
son of
really,
a bitch.
what'd you do?
No, not me. Stop. Where is it?
What on earth are you doing?
Oh shit. Motherfucker. I heard it pop. Oh,
That's never
here.
a good
No, give me one second.
thing. All right.
So it turns out that, all right, I had to turn off the sprinklers. Oh,
Oh, I need to turn mine off too.
well, no, the reason I had to turn them off, let me see if I can do this. Where am I?
I forgot how sick these are. But I don't know because I like big trucks in general.
Oh,
F-450.
I can't turn on my camera. My flashlight.
Uh, yeah.
But anyway, what happened was that one of the sprinkler heads popped off,
Hmm.
and the one of the sprinkler heads popped off, and the stream was hitting the underside of my roof on that corner of the house. Well, guess what? If it's hitting the underside of my roof, where's that water going? Inside my fucking walls.
That
Sure.
sucks.
Yep. Sure enough, it happened to me once before, and I just heard it pop, and I was like, "Fuck!" So the sprinklers are off now. I will have to replace that head. Okay. Sorry.
Oh no, there's a lot
Ooh.
of different vehicles that I like. So that'll take a while for me to figure out. But like that's a Hennessy Velocity 6x6, which are kind of sick.
Those
I
are
like
what? Those are a couple hundred, 300 grand. Not
yeah,
bad.
those cost about as much as the house I'm sitting in. So it's just not something that I need, but I think it's cool. I probably honestly would rock a F. What is that? It's a F350 or F450. It's like a Raptor conversion. I can't remember
Ooh,
what model.
nice.
Yeah, they're sick. It's the F350. And so it's got like a long arm freaking um long arm suspension. Freaking just they're just sick. It's like a Baja truck, but it's a diesel. And so
Wow.
things like that. Um,
That's called the Mega Raptor.
yeah,
I
I
have
don't
a
I don't remember which company makes them, but they're super
there was a
sick.
guy, there was a guy, his name was Lutala. I forgot his first name though. Anyway, this guy was an aircraft mechanic. He had a shop up here, just north of Palm Beach Airport. There's a little rinky-dink airport. It's like an overflow airport. Um, and this guy had a beautiful life. His wife was a realtor, high-end Ballesteri realtor.
Yeah.
No, not Ballesteri, Cochrane. Co- Cochrane realtor, high-end, $1 million+ homes. Well, not everything is $1 million, but you know what I mean. She was in the higher end. And then over on Palm Beach Island and shit. And so they did quite well. This guy decided that his passion was Baja trucks, and that he was going to do the Baja 1000, and he was going to do. So this motherfucker built himself a fucking truck, and I guess he did it. Hold on, I have to look at this.
All right.
Hold on. Okay, sorry. Uh, I just got a text message from my wife that tells, yeah, I gotta go. Hurry up and do cardio.
That's
Um,
so funny. I knew exactly where that was going when you're like, I gotta check this. I was like, it's time for him to go.
anyway, dude, this guy Lutala, I don't know how many races he did, but I his final race, he was coming up over, and he did one of those jumps, and somebody he didn't know, and he t right,
No, that
right,
sucks.
right on him. He landed. When he landed, he was still alive, and he's like, "Oh man, hey, I guess I'm not gonna be able to finish the race. Fuck, you know." That's something, something that he would say. He said he was all pissed off he couldn't finish the race. He didn't realize that his one of his legs was hanging behind his head or something like
Um,
that. Yeah, he was all fuckered up, and he went to they took him to the hospital and so forth, and he ended up dying on the table. He ended up dying, um, but his wife tried suing everything because apparently that jump shouldn't have been there or something like that. Something there was something that happened. But long story short, he ended up trying. She was trying to sell the place. I tried to buy it. That's how I mean, when you said Baja truck, that's what popped into my mind. I almost bought this place. I didn't have the money, but I gave her an amazing option to, you know, owner financing. You know, I'll buy it from you, you know, and I'll make you a lot of money. I'll pay you asking price, but just give me a shot, you know, that type deal. So, and she turned it down, but it's okay. Things happen for a reason. What else? I don't even know if that shop's still available, but yeah. But you said Baja, it brought me back to that quick memory. So it's almost what's that?
All the mosquito bites from being out in the rain, dude. Like, they usually don't hit me, but right now I feel them all. But that's because my body knows I'm about to go out there and board up this front door and pull in all the propane tanks and everything. So I'm gonna.
Do you think you have to board up that front wall?
The only reason why I put a board through it is because I don't want something to fly through it. So, but
let me ask you a question. But how big is the? I did hurricane impact windows indoors for a while. I had a little company, and my question to you is, how big is the
window?
The decorative glass
is no, the windows aren't like that big. It's
on
literally
the door.
Yeah. Well, the only thing I cover it up. It's 4 screws. Like something that's so simple that can save me a headache. Like, why would I not do it?
Yeah, but hold on though. Here's the other question. Your door opens out or it opens in?
Oh, the wind's not going to blow the door in. I just don't want to break the glass.
Gotcha.
That's it. It's I literally just cover that part of the door.
Well, because when you said you can't open the door, I'd be like, well, why? You have to have some type of other.
Out. Yeah, and then the garage door or whatever side door where we exit when that's the scenario. So
there's only one exit, the side garage door.
Yeah, so there's you go through the kitchen and then go out the side door. So
okay,
it's very simple. It's not like it's a hazard or anything. Like, yeah, I'm locked in my house now.
There are some dumb people there, you know.
Yeah, I know. I'm not one of them.
You are kind of funny looking, but I know you're not dumb. Listen.
Yeah. Yeah, clip that shit.
It's cool. Listen, God. I got another text message. I gotta go check on. I think there's somebody burglarizing my wife.
You go have fun with that. Don't forget to go run afterwards. I'll talk to you later.
Please. Bye.